It's about those black little girls that were blown up in the church. It's about the countless black moms that were bred like animals by their own sons, where the term motherfucker comes from. It's about those countless black women that were essayed over and over and over again from the age of 7 on up. It's about the countless businesses that were burned down and freeways were put over. It's about all the countless music styles that were stolen from us over and over again. It's about those black men that were on the plantation and couldn't do anything as the master came in and assaulted their wife and their daughter in front of him. There was injustice against us, not for 8 years, not for 10 years, not for 100 years, but for hundreds of years, and nobody has answered for it. Reparations isn't just about the money, it's about retribution for everything that's been done against us. Imagine somebody you love got wronged. Wouldn't you want the person that did them wrong to be held accountable? It's about the countless money and the countless years wasted. Their whole lives were given to building this country, generation after generation. It's about that.
Hi lovelies, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Belinda Verse or Belly Dirt channel. Don't forget to please subscribe to this channel, turn on notifications so that anytime I upload videos, you will be the first person to be notified. To my returning subscribers, to those people that share my videos, leave commentaries, and educate each and every one of us, you guys are the real MVP. So lovelies, I'm gonna be your today's host, and I have so many statistics to put up here, and we're gonna come out to talk about it. Alright lovelies, let's dive into today's video.
If the rich countries don't want the poor countries to migrate, then there's another solution. Pay them what they're owed. Pay the cost of colonialism, of the wars you've imposed upon them, of the inequality you've built into the world order, and the carbon you've put in the atmosphere. Settle the account, and the creditors will have no reason to come to your house. Reparations or migration. Choose. This is an excerpt from This Land is Our Land, an Immigrant's Manifesto by Suketu Mehta. And I think that it's particularly relevant at this moment, given what's happening in Los Angeles with ICE. Some Americans view immigration and aid as benevolence on the part of the United States. And if you don't know the history of how the United States has helped destabilize and exploit the people of these countries, then I see how you can have that misunderstanding. But the truth is, after what the United States has done to some of these countries, killed their leaders, exploited their land, taken their resources, letting the people of the country immigrate to the United States for economic opportunities that we stole from their countries is the least that we can do.
What makes you think I don't claim my lineage? I am Black American. I am Black in America. I know exactly who I am. I know where I come from. I know who my people were and are, and I love us. You must not know me. Hell yeah, I'm proud of who the fuck I am. And I would not suggest you be anything other than proud of who you are, either. I'm not a goddamn tether. You understand? And that's what you all like to call Black Americans that don't agree with you. So y'all want to carry on like I'm holding it down for African immigrants. No. This is the type of shit you say to other Black Americans that don't agree with you. These whole insinuations that Africans are not human. Fuck out of here. That's not us. We don't do that shit. And anybody that's preaching that shit is divisive as fuck. If there is someone telling you to do harm to your own kind, they don't mean you any good. Period. Don't be fucking stupid here. I know who I am. And I don't have a problem celebrating the other ethnicities and nationalities on the diaspora. I love it. Eat it up. That doesn't make me any less proud of being Black in America. I'm no fucking tether. I'm not weak. I choose black lives. And this conversation started because I said to another black woman, do not apologize for things you did not do. And for you all to think she should apologize for things she did not do is high-key white people shit. And I'm gonna stand on my black American fucking foundation while I tell you this. Cause y'all ain't scaring no fucking body. You need the truth. What makes you think I don't claim my lineage? I am black American.
Learn when to shut the fuck up sometimes. So Black American reparations never had anything to do with immigration status or what year black people came here. That's all made up. The United States gave reparations to black Americans already through Sherman's Field Order number 15 in exchange for our participation in the Civil War. Then they took it back. Not because of Native Americans or us being Native Americans, not because of Asians, not because of black people that came and snuck over here after the slavery was over. Actually, they were helping the Confederates in the South. The Union Army that we helped actually betrayed black Americans after we helped them win the war and become a United States. Before the United States even existed, black Americans were part of 3 separate colonies under 3 separate countries, the British, the French, and the Spanish. Black Americans became U.S. citizens and thus became black Americans as you know us today through expansion geopolitically and through war. It wasn't one singular event that created black Americans. There was the 1803 Louisiana Purchase, the 1819 Adams-Onis Treaty, the 1836 Republic of Texas, the 1845 Texas Annexation, the 1848 Treaty of Guadalupe and Hidalgo. This is why the law that actually made black American citizens of the United States based on the 14th Amendment, the Naturalization Act of 1870, referred to us as Africans and persons of African descent, specifically continental Africans and persons of African descent. That is the definition of black American by law that we helped create as members of the Union Army and people that fought in the Civil War. You see, back in 1865, there was a Union Army general named William T. Sherman. He issued Special Field Order number 15, granting 400,000 acres in Charleston, South Carolina, and allotments of 40 acres, which is where Kendrick Lamar gets the phrase, 40 acres and a mule, this is bigger than the music. The 40 acres was actually 400,000 acres in Charleston, South Carolina, where 40% of black Americans trace their lineage to this day. It's one of the biggest slave ports during that time. So it's strategic. It's very specific why that will be the place that we would be granted reparations. It was land. It was always about land and assets. The Freedmen's Bank is associated with that history. The establishment of HBCUs is associated with that same history. Black Americans' assimilation into U.S. citizenship, participation in voting and government. We elected over 2,000 elected officials during the 1870s, shortly after we became citizens. We participated in government. We elected over 6 congressmen. 2 of them came from New Orleans. Black American identity was very much a geopolitical act, an amalgamation of black people who experienced different forms of slavery under different colonial powers and came from different African countries. Black families settled that land in Charleston, South Carolina. It wasn't a rumor. It wasn't a wish. It wasn't an idea that black Americans had. It already happened. It was documented. And it's rightfully the possession of black Americans who are associated with the history of fighting the Civil War on the behalf of the white people that won and created the United States. We were part of the creation of the Union. Black people were. More stories about that next. After Abraham Lincoln lost his life, Andrew Johnson, his former vice president, took over, ordered black families off the land, gave it back to the Confederates, put the Confederates back in power over the black people that helped the Union Army defeat the Confederates, which created the United States that we currently live in. So we were double-crossed by the white people that we served, not by fellow black people from other countries speaking other languages or immigrating after slavery. That is a made-up and false claim. Also, reparations discussions, if y'all look at the minutes from the American Congress and in the White House archives and leadership, there was never any discussion about black people being indigenous to the land. That never had anything to do with the reparations discussion. The reparations discussion to this day, is about revisiting that historical event of black American participation in the Civil War, and codifying the things given from Field Order Number 15 into law so that it can't be taken by another president who happens to be racist. If y'all actually read any of the bills that are currently out for reparations, they have nothing to do with immigration, with black people from other countries. It is a distinct and historical event. There are receipts, there's a timeline. The waters are not muddied by any other groups of people, even if we share ancestry with them. So no, immigrants have nothing to do with Black American reparations. They did not take it. They're not the reason why white people won't give it to us. They have nothing to do with us in Black American reparations. Even though they have their own reparations claim that they are also entitled to, their reparations is a different form of reparations that has nothing to do with our 400,000 acres, our land allotments, or even the money that we end up getting to build HBCUs and the Freedmen's Bank. These are historical events. They are documented. We can revisit them. Those things can be granted again through legislation. And there's zero confusion about who the black people were that fought in the Civil War, or who they were related to, or what black people happened to be in the areas that those black Union Army men represented, right? There's no confusion about black people because this is a unique and historical event. We don't need a foundational Black American term. We don't need a Sulani term. Those terms were never created during any of this history. They were never part of any of this history.
Let's get into it. America has always has a selective memory. It chooses which history to amplify, which to hide, and which to rewrite. And no conversation exposes that selective memory more clearly than the debate over repatriation, immigration, and who is responsible for the global conditions that force people to migrate in the first place. In recent weeks, people have been quoting Suketu Meta's word from "This land is our land," where he makes a blunt argument: if rich countries don't want poor countries to migrate, there is another solution. Pay them what they are owed. Pay the cost of colonialism, pay for the political destabilization, pay for the military interventions, the coupons, the puppet governments, the extraction, the exploitation, and the environmental destruction. Settle the account and the people won't need to come to your house. This idea has lit up social media, especially because of what is happening with ICE and Los Angeles and the larger conversations about immigration in America. But as this debate grows, another conversation has been happening alongside it. The conversations around Black American repatriation, and some people, without understanding the history, are trying to merge these two discussions as if Black American reparations are somehow tied to immigration policy or immigrant communities. The truth is, they are not related at all. So today we are unpacking two things at the same time. First, the global reality of migration and how Western powers created the very crisis they now want to shield themselves from. And second, the specific historical, documented, legally grounded case for Black American repatriation, completely separate from immigration and not tied to any other communities' movements. Let's start with the global angle, the global debt no one wants to talk about. When Seketu Meta described migration as the creditors coming to collect, he wasn't exaggerating. For decades, the United States and other Western powers have directly contributed to political instability, economic collapse, and environmental destruction across the global south. Countries don't become poor out of nowhere. Poverty is manufactured, it is engineered, it is enforced. Take Latin America, decades of CIA-backed coups removed democratically elected leaders who wanted to nationalize resources or resist U.S. influence. Guatemala, Chile, Nicaragua, El Salvador. This destabilization created generations of violence, corruption, and economic collapse. People fleeing these conditions are not rolling toward abundance. They are running from scarcity created by the U.S. intervention. Take Africa. The United States and European powers drained the continent of minerals, land, labor, and political autonomy. They backed dictators, installed loyal regimes, and undermined governments that dare seek independence or socialism. These disruptions shaped entire economies around extraction, oil, diamonds, cocoa, cobalt, while leaving the people with poverty. Take the Middle East. After decades of wars, invasion, secession, and foreign interference, millions of people were left with no stable homeland to return to. So when Americans say, why are they coming here? The answer is simple. Because you went there, because you took, because you imposed yourself. Migration is the interest payment on centuries of colonial and imperial thefts. That is the global context. But now let's shift to the demo, domestic domestic one. The misunderstanding about Black American reparations. Some Americans, with, often without historical education, believe that the Black American reparation are somehow complicated by immigration or tied to immigrant presence in the United States. That idea is false, completely false, and historical ignorance. Reparation for Black Americans stem from one specific documented, historically recognized event: Black people's forced labor under American chattel slavery and their direct participation in the Civil War as part of the Union Army, which helped save and solidify the United States as a nation. This is not theoretical, this is not cultural, this is not symbolic, this is not something to debate based on vibes and opinions. These are receipts, there is legislation, there are land documents, and is achieved correspondency. There is federal recognition of the wrongdoing and the debt owed. Let's break down clearly. Black Americans, before the United States was even the United States. Black Americans didn't magically appear in the 1776 when the nation was created. They were present with the British colonialism. They were present in French territories. They were present in Spanish territories. The people we call Black Americans today were shaped across multiple colonial empires long before the United States existed. Black families lived in terrorism that would later be acquired through the Louisiana Purchase of 1803, the Adams-Onis Treaty of 1819, the formation of the Republic of the Texas in the 1836, the Texas Annexation of 1845, the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo in 1848. This shift wasn't just about land, they shifted the citizenship status of the black people already living there. This is why the Naturalization of Act of 1870 explicitly used the terms Africans and persons of African descent when defining who became U.S. citizens after the Civil War. That law was not describing immigrants, it was describing Black Americans formerly enslaved who fought for the Union and therefore were central to the creation of the model United States. 40 acres and the molar was not just a myth. When General William T. Sherman issued Special Field Order No. 15 in 1865, he wasn't handing out symbolic promises. He was redistributing land, 400 acres of it, directly to formerly enslaved black families, primarily in Charleston, South Carolina. 40 acres wasn't a slogan. It was a land alignment that was already surveyed, allocated, recorded, documented. Black families were settled on that land. Free men were building homes, planting crops, building their lives. This wasn't theoretical reparation, this was real reparation, already happening, already implemented. The Freeman's Bank was created to manage these assets. It was tied to the economic empowerment of newly freed Black Americans. Reparation had already started until they were reserved. The problem of half knowledge. America is the land of opinions without education. People speak confidently about history they have never studied. Many Americans believe that Black American reparation were blocked because people from other countries came in. There is zero evidence for that. Zero. Every historical barrier to reparation was created internally. White politicians, white property owners, white judges, white lawmakers. People who also believe that Black Americans argue they were indigenous to get a reparation that is completely fabricated. There is no mention of native identity in government reparation discussions. It is not part of any bill, it is not part of any claim, it is not part of any historical archive. The record is clear. Black American reparation are based on slavery, military participation, land redistribution, and federal betrayal. This entire conversation, global reparation, black American reparation, immigration, ICE, destabilization, colonialism, is about accountability. America wants everyone else to be accountable except itself. It wants poor nations to control their people, but they will not control its corporations. It wants immigrants to stay home, but will not stay out of their government. It wants praise for freedom while hiding the receipt of its debt. It wants everyone to move on but refuses to return what is stole. No matter how loudly the political system tries to drown it out, the truth is simple. Black American reparations are not completed. Global reparations are not completed. Migration is not mysterious, and history is not confusing. A bill was created, a bill was documented, a bill was delivered, and a bill was never paid. Until that changes, the conversation is not going away.
And if you watch up to this extent, don't forget to please leave me your own thought in the comment section of what you think of this video. And please do not forget that we do not support any form of bullying and harassment. We are just here for educational and informative purposes. So lovelies, why not just share your thought? Subscribe to this channel if you're yet to do that, and I will see you lovelies when I upload the next one.